And when you hear that on a Friday morning, it means it's time for the first federal money program with local legend Dick Belcher. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Local legend.
Oh, dude.
Okay. It's going to be a nice weekend.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I think we're done with the real cold weather, don't we?
And the snow and the ice.
Oh, that would be a blessing.
Yeah, we're into spring. The Blackadder Memorial Sports Complex project is getting some help from the city. The city is to cover a sewer connection that is estimated at $2,700. The entire project is estimated to cost $130,000. Just as a reminder, the foundation here gave $61,500 to that project.
Outstanding.
Lake Manitou watershed sampling is to be done this summer in 8 different locations. In the watershed for Lake Manitou is 27,700 acres, and the size of Lake Manitou is 775 acres. Purpose is to find out how many of these nutrients are going in there, promoting cover crops, and it's a good thing. I see Trump signed an executive order to better enforce free speech on the college campuses.
I hadn't noticed that there was a problem, but I go to a pretty boring college. I don't, have all the excitement that some of the other ones do.
Well, yeah, you got to be on primarily the West Coast.
Yeah, that seems to be. Since I was a little kid, that seems to be.
He's told them, you let those conservatives in, or we're going to shut off the money. So we'll see what happens there. ISIS on the verge of collapse.
That's what I've been hearing for about 5 years.
Well, this is real this time. Okay, a little trivia. Who won the 2018 NCAA tournament? Was it Michigan, Villanova, or Duke? Oh, here's another one. Coach of the year this year. Is it Roy Williams, Matt Maynard, or Coach K of Duke? I'm sure you know all those answers. Hi, Tanner.
Good morning.
Glad to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Okay, how glad are you to be here? He's streaming?
Yeah, we're up and at 'em. It's going to be a good day.
Oh, yeah, Purdue got a win last night.
Purdue got a win,
yeah.
so life's good. I better start my section out by giving a happy birthday shout out to my father, Eric Lee.
That's a good idea.
Today's his birthday, so
okay.
If you see him around town, wish him happy birthday. Yeah, like you said, Purdue won last night over Old Dominion, 61-48. Wasn't the prettiest of games, but that doesn't matter how pretty the game is this time of year. It's you win, you survive, and you advance.
It's
so
a W.
It's a W.
Remind me, where's Old Dominion from?
Virginia.
Well, that makes sense.
Virginia had 5 schools this year in the tournament. They were the most of any state represented. So, Purdue had a unique, unfortunate thing happen to them right before the game. Their starting point guard rolled his ankle in the layup line, so they had to hurry up. In the layup line he slipped and fell, so they had to put the backup guard in, and then their starting point guard ended up coming back in the second half, but he missed the whole first half of the game. Wow. And he's 6'7" point guard who disrupts on defense, so without him, it changed things up a little bit.
The defender in the country.
Yeah, he's one of the top defenders. He's one of Purdue's top rebounders, so they were missing him for a little while, but they got it done. Hopefully he's good to go tomorrow when they play Villanova at 8:40 tomorrow night on TNT. Villanova beat St. Mary's. So, Purdue's the only Indiana school that's represented in the NCAA tournament, but there was 2 schools in the NIT. Indiana hosted St. Francis of Pennsylvania on Tuesday. They won by a score of 89-72. They now host Arkansas tomorrow at noon. They are 6-point favorites in that game. And Butler saw their season come to an end. They lost a road game at Nebraska on Wednesday, 80-76. And then on a national sports note, aside from basketball, Mike Trout of the Los Angeles Angels signed quite a historic baseball deal, 12-year, $430 million deal.
Almost a $500 million.
Almost a $500 million. And he's 27 years old, so at the end of his contract, he'll be 39. I'll be interested to see how successful the Angels are during this contract, because in my opinion, while he might be the best player in baseball, you tie up that much money in one player, you can't get too much around him.
The city of Los Angeles has a habit of tying up the best player in several sports and not doing much with that.
Yeah, their basketball team's not doing so well. The purple and gold out there, but they're in the headlines every day. So it'll be interesting to keep tabs on Mike Trout and the Angels going forward for the next decade or for a decade plus. I got some tidbits here this morning. On this day in 1946, the first U.S. rocket to leave the Earth's atmosphere was launched. On this day in 1963, a band named the Beatles released their first album titled Please Please Me. On this day in 1969, UCLA beat Purdue 92-72 to win their 5th championship in 6 years. Pretty astonishing what UCLA did back in the 60s and 70s.
And who was the coach of the UCLA team?
It was John Wooden.
John Wooden.
Yeah, he wasn't a bad coach. Pretty successful coach.
I'd say he's pretty close to being the best.
Yeah, I would too. And today is National Goof Off Day.
No,
Oh,
wait a
cool.
minute.
See you
Right
later.
out of here.
See, Barron was just waiting for me to drop that.
It's official if it comes from 10.
Yeah, you wait till 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
It's also a World Water Day and As Young As You Feel Day.
Okay.
So,
I
there you
gotta
go.
laugh at that one. If I was as young as I felt, you'd be buying a plot for me right now.
Oh, I'll play the violin. Okay, some upcoming events. Rochester FFA 17th annual auction is a week from Saturday out at the fairgrounds, and before that, the Optimist Survey breakfast, which all of the proceeds to that goes to the Blackadder Project, girls softball and soccer, and they do that every year. And congratulations to the Optimists for doing that. They do a lot of things for the youth. Tippy Valley School presents Once on This Island today at 7 o'clock, Saturday at 2 o'clock and 7. 4-H fish and tenderloin at the fairgrounds tomorrow, 4 to 7:30. In the future, Woodlawn Golf outing will be June 20th. You can get into that for $1,500 down to $250. So mark your calendar for that. It's always a big event. That's June 30th at the golf course near the hospital. One thing we didn't mention last week, and I apologize for that, we didn't mention about Birch Bayh passing. Birch Bayh was a proponent of the Title IX that kind of liberated a lot of ladies in the sports world.
He was an author of that book.
Yeah, he was. Also, I see 50 years ago that Clyde Lau and Mark Wakefield, both former Rochester coaches, were admitted to the High School Basketball Hall of Fame. Some flowers this morning to the City of Rochester for supporting the Blackadder Sports Complex project. That $2,700 contribution is appreciated. Okay, money news. The Dow closed up 216 points yesterday at 25,962. It's up and down. Futures this morning show a little bit of red. The Federal Reserve Board met this week and came out with a statement that they will probably not raise interest rates anymore this year. Actually, at First Federal, in the past 10 days, we lowered long-term mortgage rates 1/8%. So it's not doing what a lot of people thought it was going to do as far as interest rates are concerned.
Is that good? Bad?
That's good. It's okay. Yeah, it is what it is. We're seeing a lot of construction loans coming in or beginning to come in now. That's a good sign about the economy and that spring is coming. I see gas is up. Some are anticipating by Memorial Day it'll be $3.
Goodness.
Apple overtook to become the most valuable public company this week. Supposedly they have 130 billion, that's with a B, of cash.
Just of cash.
That should get them through.
Yeah, that should be. Bayer fell on tough times this week. They are down about 10%. They bought the rights to Roundup from Monsanto last year for $66 billion, and now they're getting all these lawsuits claiming cancer, that Roundup causes cancer, and it's really a disturbing thing as far as some of the court cases that are pending. Come in and see us today. We are open until 5 p.m. and tomorrow 8:30 to noon on Saturday. You can always bank with us online and with our mobile apps, which is free to download. Our ATM is open 24/7 as well. And if you need cash, we offer many different mortgage products: USDA, FHA, conventional loans, one-step construction loans, and more. Our loan originators, Ben Dalton or John Schaefer here in Rochester, and Bill Morris in Winnemac. We offer simply free checking accounts and simply free business checking accounts. So stop in and get the information on that. Easy Access 12-month CD, the current rate on that is 2.3%. That's an APY, average percentage yield of 2.32, $5,000 minimum for that. We offer commercial lending for business. Contact Lindy Breeden. And we're going to talk to Lindy in a little bit here about a little more about this. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. The borrowers must meet underwriting guidelines. We are a member of FDIC and an equal housing lender, and our NMLS number is 399927. Okay, we got two guests today. Terry Lee, Executive Director, FEDCO. Welcome, Terry.
Good morning, Dick. Thank you for having me.
And also Lindy Breeden, who's Vice President of Commercial Lending at First Federal Savings Bank. So we're going to discuss a little bit about what's happening at FEDCO.
Probably the most time-sensitive thing at FEDCO is our business planning classes starting week after next. So we've run nearly 100 businesses through this in the last 7 years. We host it twice a year. We've helped up to 12 new businesses start, helped up to 12 new businesses expand, created about 100 jobs with it. So it's a very successful program. Starts April 4th. It runs 6 weeks, 3 hours in the evening on a Thursday night, and next week is the week you want to get in and have an orientation so we can kind of go through what you're looking for, make sure the class works for you, and get you set up to get started in that. We've got, I think, 3 businesses that have signed up right now. We've got appointments with 3 more next week to get started in that.
So somebody that still wants in can get in.
Absolutely. Got another week to get in. Starts April 4th.
Is there a fee for that?
It's $99. Normally it's about $325, but we have a USDA grant, so we use some of our technical assistance funds to buy that down. So it's a really good deal for
$99.
$99. How's that? Not 100. Under 100. Kept it in the double digits.
Okay.
So that's just call us at 223-3326 is probably the best way to get on the schedule. There's been a lot of work lately in workforce development type things. You know, you hear a lot about. We were talking about the number of jobs that are unfilled in the area. If we attracted a big company, would we have the workforce for it? I'd say yes, because a lot of people commute Highway 31 and 24. We send people to Elkhart County, we send people to Marion County from Rochester, so it's really kind of easy to get around. It's just what company is it, what are they paying, what are their benefits, stuff like that. So you might see some different commuting patterns if something like that came, but is the infrastructure ready for it? So in the meantime, workforce development, we were involved in the discussions leading up to Ivy Tech's decision to not renew the lease at the Rochester Learning Center. And some of the discussions since then, and from my standpoint, from the economic development standpoint, from workforce development standpoint, we think it's going to be a good move. We think that Ivy Tech will be focusing their energy and their resources more toward vocational type training and workforce development specific type training, instead of just the dual credit or dual enrollment, which they were doing before, and which now IU is really taking over that role at the high school. So the students still get that opportunity to get the dual enrollment, and we're going to have Ivy Tech, we think, focusing more on vocational training. So that's been several meetings over the past couple of weeks to kind of get our arms around that. HSE or GED, we've had some issues with the group that's administering that, so we know we've let a few people down in terms of pursuing GED right now, but we've been promised by the regional director that those things will change and change pretty quickly. So go to the Learning Center if you're interested in completion of the GED or HSE. We're also working on work ethic training, if you can believe it. We have to train certain generations in what work ethic is. I don't know. They're not growing up on farms. They don't have a dad or mom or grandma or grandpa like I did to teach me that. So we actually have a work ethic certificate that we're awarding to kids at the high school level, Rochester and Caston, and also Tippecanoe Valley. And after April 1st, we're going to have about 10 of our companies that have already offered incentives that have the work ethic certificate come into the classes and talk to the kids about who their companies are, what they do, and the importance of work ethic.
Okay, how do you teach ethics?
Good question. Yeah, what it's about showing up on time. It's about being responsible to yourself. It's about being responsible to others. It's about doing what you say you're going to do. It's about honesty, those kind of principles. So,
boy, those are basic things.
They're kind of basic things.
They're kind of basic.
Yeah, and as a community, as a society, we really want to depend on that happening at home. You know, we want mom and dad should be taking care of that. Moms and dads should be taking care of that, honestly.
I should have my hair.
You should have your hair.
Yeah, I mean, that toothpaste has been out of the tube a long time. You got about half the kids in this country being raised in a single family.
And in our county, you have a good number that are being raised by parents that are incarcerated.
Yeah.
So we see some things that might be trending in the right direction on that. So that's good, in my opinion. So the work ethic is basically to go, okay, wake up. This is what this is all about. This is what we mean when we say work ethic. These are what companies expect. It's not all, well, I can just work when I want to. The companies depend on consistent labor, consistent hours. Tanner, so forget about the goof off they've done. So it's those kind of things we've actually spent a lot of time on recently. We're really excited about the business planning class. It's going to be a little bit different this year. We think just as good, so contact us about that. Aside from that, I've been working with several smaller businesses, 3 of which are have had some threats. In other words, they've gotten to the point that it might turn over. There's no succession plan. One of those is recently sold, which is really good, or is going to be selling, it looks like. One's still up in the air, and the other just have a lot of technical things to work out with them. But smaller businesses that have been in the community for a while, that we're just trying to help find a succession plan for, maybe a new owner, or just a way to continue the business the way they need to in face of the threats that they're facing.
Now, First Federal's not on that list, are they?
Not even anywhere near it, Dick. No, nowhere near it.
All right.
We might come to you for help on it, but
Okay.
you guys are safe as far as I can tell. Also working on with the theater group downtown and youth center and a couple other projects. So it's a busy time.
Terry Lee, Executive Director of FEDCO. I keep hearing rumbles about a new fast food out south of town.
Yeah, Wings contacted me back in February and said they had closed on the property, so they're moving forward with putting in a Wings, etc. So that's one of the requests we had from some of the executives that visit is, where's there a good place to catch a ball game, or to get kind of a sports bar type of environment or atmosphere. Yeah. So Wings, etc. has bought the parcel in front of Walmart, between the really low area there, sort of the swampy area, and the intersection there with Pilot. So they'll be building. They've split the parcel. They're putting up a Wings, etc. And it looks like the other one is going to be a rebuild of the KFC or Taco Bell. One of those. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's on schedule for this summer, as far as I know.
Okay,
Waiting for the weather.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Dean Milk property.
Well, so since 2015, when they declared they were shutting the doors, they basically told us that they don't know where the building fits into their strategic plan. Last week they contacted us and said they were doing things a little bit differently with the real estate right now, and that if we have leads, send them to us, send them to them. So we actually have an opportunity maybe to actually get something backfilled into that building here eventually. So.
Okay, how do you fit into the puzzle of the new jail? Not that I'm implying that you might occupy it, but
Well, that depends on how. Is it nice? It's going to be nice. Not really. Not really much, honestly. I'm glad to see that the incarceration rates. I think incarceration is a terrible alternative to rehabilitation or even punishment. And so I like what the judges are doing with reducing the incarceration rates. I guess the jail is it's a given that the new building is going to be built. I hope the county is works on their bonding to do the right projects, and I think they are. So rehab, maybe bringing some other offices in. Not on my radar per se for economic development.
Terry Lee, thanks for stopping by this morning.
I like your Carolina blue shirt this morning. That's what we're going to call that. So.
You got one too.
I do have one. So. You're close.
Yeah,
I could almost be called Duke, though. I don't know if I even do.
Lindy Breeden, he's Vice President of Commercial Lending at First Federal. Been with us a couple of years now.
I've been here for 8 months.
Oh, it just seemed like 5 years.
Been banking a lot easier.
Well, I've known you a long time, and vice versa. And welcome to First Federal and the commercial lending. What's happening out there?
Commercial lending's been very strong. I know that First Federal got into it probably 3 or 4 years ago, kind of slow. Started taking off about a year or two ago, and really this past year, it's been very successful. I got here in July of this past year. It's just extremely successful. We're getting a lot of responses from this community, also from surrounding communities. What I want to do is kind of go down through some of the type of loans that we're looking at and the entities that we do lend to. This is one of the questions that had come up the last time I was on the radio, and I thought maybe I'd just kind of go through it this time to kind of discuss what we do and what's available. The bank does lend to both individuals and sole proprietors, to partnerships, limited liability companies, trusts, corporations, and nonprofits. So you start to wonder what kind of nonprofits. The bank does do a lot of lending. Most recently, we've done a lot of lending to churches, which would be the nonprofits. Some of the loan types that we do look at would be rental properties, which would be like 1 to 4 family residential. We also have recently done quite a few loans to apartment complexes, anywhere from maybe a 5-unit up to even a 60-unit apartment complex. We also do lending for commercial real estate, which would be both owner-occupied and non-owner-occupied as an investment. Office buildings, a lot of office buildings downtown Rochester, other smaller communities. We do a lot of the smaller office buildings. And we do financing for farm real estate, operating lines, and equipment, and manufacturing equipment. So one of the questions that comes up is what kind of loan terms do we have? Normally for lines of credits, we normally do a 2-year line of credit where that note would actually come due. Then you'd have availability for that 2-year period. For equipment, we normally finance for between 5 and 7 years, and real estate up to 20 years. So one of the questions that has come up is what the advantages have been to bank with First Federal. And I think one of the biggest advantages that I've seen is just that local decision. Our bank meets both Tuesdays and Fridays and able to make the decisions on the loan requests that have come in. Normally you're not going to find that if you go to any other bank. Normally a lot of the decisions are made outside of that town where you're applying for that loan, where here those loan decisions are made every week. One of the other advantages that I've seen is loan closings normally here are happening within 30 days. On the outside, some of the more complex loans normally get closed within the 45 days, but almost always you're going to see your loan's going to be able to get closed within that 30 days. Interest rates are very competitive, and one of the other things that we do, we will meet the customers at their business or in the bank's office.
Either place.
Either place.
You're available.
Absolutely. Wherever
Okay.
we have to, we'll meet them.
Okay, Lindy Breeden, people out there that want to discuss this further with you, how do they go about that?
They can contact me directly at 574-223-1716.
Okay, thank you for the information there.
Thank you.
Tara, you got anything additional things that you'd like to add? That sounds like a no.
I did get Duke and Carolina in the office basketball poll, so
Okay,
poll,
well, that's
I'm happy
important.
about that. That's important, right?
important.
But I think I'm next to last in Monty's pool, so I'm not doing too good there. Not a good pick 'em.
Harry and Lindy, thank you for stopping by this morning. Our trivia this morning was, who won the 2018 NCAA tournament last year? Michigan, Villanova, or Duke? Do you remember, Baron?
No, but I'll guess Duke.
No.
Probably wrong because that's the most obvious guess.
Yeah.
Villanova.
Villanova.
Was it Villanova?
Yeah. And the coach of the year that was selected for this year, Roy Williams, Matt Painter, or Coach K of Duke?
Gotta go Roy Williams.
Roy Williams, you're right. You're right. Okay, let's close with this statement by Groucho Marx. I got two this afternoon. This morning, getting older. Groucho Marx says, "Getting older is no problem. You just have to live long enough."
Mm-hmm.
Or William Shakespeare. Shakespeare. I googled him, and
Did you?
yeah, I did.
Did you get any results?
I did. Yeah, he wrote 39 plays
Yes.
and 154 sonnets.
Yes.
You know what a sonnet is?
Yes.
Tell me.
It's a poem.
How many lines?
Oh, that was last semester.
Oh,
I can count one in my head, but you don't have time. So
14.
14. Okay,
14.
Yeah.
He wrote 154 on this. So I did not know all this information, so I'm a lot smarter than I was 24 hours ago. So anyway, and Mr. Shakespeare, it is not the stars to hold our destiny, but it's ourselves.
Yes.
Shakespeare.
True.
You know about that.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen, for
Solid.
coming in.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Tanner.
Thank you, Dick.
Thank you,
Barry.
Dick. First Federal Money Program comes your way Friday mornings at
Okay.
7:30 here at 92.1 WROI.